Hello everybody, this is Havoc and welcome back to Memoriapolis. For those of you who don't know, I have covered this before in a preview-ish format. Did very well, and I'm very excited to finally be able to get the release version into your eyesight, I suppose. So first and foremost, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, be sure to leave a comment in the comment section, give the video a like, or subscribe to the channel for some great content. Let's get right into it. Now, I will say, the game has changed quite a bit since I last played it, and so we'll go over some of those details and we'll have some fun digging around, but mainly we need to get to a new game. Alright, so again, this is one of those things that has changed in terms of picking your destiny and your, I guess, ancestral backgrounds, as it were. So we have 6 different ones here, from craftsman, trader, a strategist, a priest, philosopher, and politician. I've always rocked the craftsman, because you just get a lot more resources, but I think we'll try something different this time. Trade routes are great. Generating passive income is awesome, but pretty generally you don't have to worry about that. So I think what we're going to roll with is the politician, because we can get 2 additional decrees simultaneously, and that has a really good impact on us if we have enough saved up to be able to handle it. So we're definitely going to rock the politician. Next, we're going to rock our customized options for our city name, our crest, and our actual name. So one of the real cool things about this is just like your customization options in terms of just what you can do is really cool. So we have everything from our coat of arms shape to our glyphs, if we so want them, down to different backgrounds and textures and things of that nature. Alright, so long story short, we've got our everything we need here. We've got Havoc'sville, our name, Havoc, of course, and then of course our coat of arms, which is pretty simple, but still pretty colorful and enjoyable. I dig it. Next up is probably our most important thing that will affect the entirety of this game, and that is where we place our starting city. So one of the things I will say, that if you hit B when trying to look at things, you go up here and you select all of the resources. It will give you a good idea on what is around you, and that's going to have a really heavy influence on what you can and can't do. You pretty much want to be close to everything because you will be using all of these resources right off the bat. And so traditionally we've gone over here and done it. We have even tried over here. I'm just going to look and see. This is the Riverside recommended. This is where I usually go. We have the roadside recommended, which isn't bad, but it is a little bit ways away from any source of clay, and I wouldn't want to be too far away from that. This isn't a bad place. We're squeezed a little bit in terms of space, but it could make for some really cool potentials. Yeah, if we went either direction, that's actually really not bad. We have gold, we have our iron, we have our food. All right, I think I found my spot. I like this area because we have a ton of clay over here. We have a good amount of sand as well. We have our iron, lots of woods, lots of places to expand into. We've got gold. We've got, I mentioned iron already. And so I think this is good. We could potentially creep over into this area as well if we wanted to. So now what we're going to do, you can choose anywhere. You don't have to choose where these recommended spots are, by the way. But we're definitely going to choose over here, and one of the things we want to look out for right off the bat is spacing. So, long story short, we don't want to be near any industrial things, because that will cause some potential issues down the road, just in terms of spacing and attractiveness and things of that nature. So we kind of want to be mindful of that. However, we also want to be able to reach these things. So we're going to go and drop it kind of right in the middle here, where we do have some space to grow. Sweet. Vineritas bien. Your family has made this fertile and welcoming land its own, free to decide your own destiny. This is the beginning of your dynasty. Starting with the simple camp, you'll have to develop an autonomous city that harvests its own resources, boasts a flourishing economy, and attracts other citizens to survive the ages. The goal? Make this future city one of the most important in the world. But be warned, your time is running out. So we do have a few things here. It's just being a little wonky. There we go. Awesome. So we have the start of the Antiquity Age. And this is where things get a little interesting in terms of what you need to do next. We're going to go through all of what you just saw there. No worries. But what we need to start out with are our resources. So you'll see up above, we have some basic resources. We have food, wood, stone, clay, and sand at the moment. And if you hover over each of them, food is a little bit different because it doesn't depend on anything, but you'll notice that there is plenty of wood. We have plenty of stone, and then we have a good amount of clay, and then sand is right there as well. So we want to develop all of them, but most importantly, especially for the beginning, are all of the resources on the left side of your screen. Some of the other things we have are things like our gold. We have blueprints, which will allow us to unlock new buildings and research. We have our inhabitants, our workers do matter as well, and our wanderers. So we're going to start with some basics. We are going to start with a farm, and you have to build within side of the circle that you see there. I always go to the max. I don't know why anyone would ever want to do anything less unless you were simply hoping for more workers. So we're going to build that there. It's going to take 10 turns. We're going to get our quarry up and running. And you can see when we hover over it, the resources that we have in this area. So we will build that, and then we will be able to select it. Of course, stone is the only thing there that works. And then last but by no means least, we're going to build our first woodcutter. Awesome. Now we're going to hit play, and these are going to take turns or cycles, excuse me, to work outright. And so basically what we have is we have 1,250 cycles in order to get to the next age. And that's not going to be too terribly difficult for us. In fact, it's actually quite simple. You just got to kind of know what you're doing, and trial and error is a big part of this game. One of the things that I like about it. And so what we need to do now is we need to get the prerequisites to upgrade the city center, to improve the camp, and then upgrade to that level 2 as well. So if we head our camp, you'll see the improvement requires 90 people, 106 wood, 44 stone. Very, very achievable. I don't think we're gonna have to worry about that at all. We just simply have to let things run. All right, several cycles have passed, and now you have enough citizens and resources to improve your town center. This upgrade will give you access to a larger building area, and that is definitely not all either. So you see there, we have everything we need, and now we have general information, increases the area of building by 50 meters, and increases the attraction by 25, which isn't a lot, but it's still an improvement. So we're gonna go ahead and work on that. Very nice. All right, we've upgraded our main building, and we now have access to all these cultural buildings. Culture is now a thing. Satisfactions are now a thing. An architectural office to build blueprints is now a thing as well. And this unlocks kind of everything that you'll start needing to really build up your city in terms of its insides, not necessarily resource generation. So what we have here, these have an effect on migration, therefore on the number of people wishing to join your town. So no worries here. We need to get into some research, and we have buildings to do. So this is your research outlook. We will use our, where is it? Production. Yep. We will use this architectural office to produce blueprints, 15 per cycle, in order to unlock more and more things. And you'll notice here that each building has its base, and then it has its upgrade costs, as well as what potential has in the future. So if, for instance, a cutting camp with food, which is pretty cool. A cutting camp with a warehouse, which provides 150% of a bonus cutting radius, yield, and then a stocking ability. So there's lots of good things here that you gotta kind of work towards if that's what you really, really want to do, which I think you should. So we're gonna go ahead and unlock the architectural office, which doesn't cost anything. And we're also gonna go into proximity and get our surveyor's cabin, which also doesn't cost anything, and this allows us to expand our building area by a small radius in other places. And then we also have our cultural buildings. So right now we're limited to production, military, religion, education, commercial, and political, and each of these does various things. So one of the most important things about this game is the idea of satisfactions. And in satisfactions, basically means it satiates the population in various areas. We'll go over that in just a minute, but you can see over here that each building has an attraction. It has a radius in which people get benefits from. And then it has a primary satisfaction, and then a satisfaction that you get to choose, which isn't quite as much as the OG faction or satisfaction, but it still provides something. And then of course it's resource costs and then maintenance. So you got to think about that. You can't just build unlimited. You have to really be thinking about it. And so one of the things you'll also notice is some of these buildings have an evolution status. And so this basically means that if I have the ceramic workshop plus another unknown building that we'll have in the next age, I can build those on top of each other and combine them for an even better building. So that's pretty cool. I like looking for those. So we're going to go with a ceramic workshop. We are going to go with an Esculapium. And then I think we may go political and buy a forum. There we go. That should be all I can afford. Nope. Then let's go with an arena. I think these are all very basic. We'll unlock more here in the future. But you can see now the architectural office is up and running. Now this doesn't provide any attraction, so you really don't need it anywhere close. So we're simply going to rotate it, put it on the edge of the map, and build it that way. And then you can see we need to build a cultural building, view the attraction filter, and produce attractive zones. So if we go over here to our filters, and we go over to our attraction filter, this is our attraction filter. You can see here that it's changed a lot since I last looked at it. If you'll remember, the attraction zones were red and the not attractive zones were green. That was part of the first initial feedback that I gave on the game, was that was very confusing for most strategy gamers. And so instead, they've now changed it to blue, which works perfectly. You can now see very high attraction areas without being confused on what it is. So we need to produce some attractive zones, and we do that by placing these cultural buildings all along here. Now, as mentioned, each one has a different satisfaction as its primary, and then one you can choose later. These are your satisfactions over here on the right hand side. We are simply trying to satiate all of these, and when we have them completely satiated, you see that we have different bonuses that we get across the board. So we want to try and keep these up, but it does require us to build multiple buildings, naturally. So you see right now, none of these are completely satisfied. We have a good number of satisfied citizens, but it's now dropped to where it's not doing great. And so we definitely need to bump these numbers up. These are absolutely rookie numbers that I think we can handle. And what we're pretty much waiting on now is we're waiting on the number of workers to go up. And with that, we can now pretty much do any of these buildings. We're going to rock with the ceramic workshop first. And this is a really cool thing that I love about this game, in that if you build within the parameters of what we call districts, each one of these buildings, or sets of buildings rather, are districts, then we'll be able to influence them towards a certain ideology, basically. So we'll place our ceramic workshop, which is a commercial building. We plant it here, and you'll see we have our primary satisfaction there. And then what do we want to do? Food consumption. I think we're going to rock creativity. We're going to confirm those two, and it's going to build that. And on completion, you'll see our attraction go up around this area, and it will produce a quote-unquote attractive zone. There we go. Now we have access to service buildings. So we had cultural buildings, proximity buildings, which expand our building area. And now we have things called service buildings. Now these offer extended things that are not just attraction. So if we go over here to our service buildings, you'll see that we have a Horium, which produces not quite as much attraction, but increases our stock. Or we have a Macellum, which is not as attractive, but allows us to buy and sell resources. So we're definitely going to rock the Macellum first. I like the Macellum because we can start trading pretty soon. And then if we were to go over to our region, you'll see that the attraction has actually been reduced a little bit around here, but because we have that cultural building, it's actually increased on that front. So all is well and good. We probably could go ahead and invest in another cutting camp. Let's go ahead and get a proximity cabin. There we go. So once that's built, it'll expand our influence in that area. Let's go ahead and drop another quarry. Well, actually, let's drop one over here because you'll notice, remember, that I have some clay over here. There we go. 4,000 clay ought to do it. Nice. Yep. We definitely want clay. And then I think we want to go ahead and expand over this way. Let's see. Let's take a look at our resource generator. We want sand. So sand is all the way over here, or if we expand a bit, I think we could reach over in that direction. So let's actually go, let's go right here, and then build another cutter's camp, and then build, ooh, what do we have here? Nice, that's great. I'll do that in just a second. Really want to get this. Okay, we're in a swampy area. So sand isn't readily available over there. It's going to be readily available over here. Okay, no problem. We'll get that worked on in just a second. But for now, we found some ancient ruins. So the inhabitants are very excited. Some of them have unearthed artifacts and fragments of buildings buried deep underground. Columns are emerging from the ground. Faded frescoes are coming to light. Who knows? May even be in for a pleasant surprise by repairing them. All right. No, that's great. So what we have here... Oh, kidding. I thought we were going to do that, but we finished one of our things over here. And we now have access to production buildings of the carver and the carpentry. And the construction of ramparts, which is super fun. So basically what we have here is we have a additional set of resources. We now have wooden beams and rubbles, which we can make from our production building. So if we go into production, we go down to carver and unlock carpenter. You'll see that it converts 3 wood to 7 beams. This converts 3 stone to 7 rubble. The thing is though, look at this. It has a negative attraction bonus. So we really don't want to be bothered by it. We really don't want to put them in places that are going to be bad for us in that light. So what we're going to work on now is kind of expanding towards the sand banks that we have over here. We need to accept one faction, which we're about to do. And then we need to build a McKellum, open a trade route, and sell or buy resources. This is optional. This is required. So basically, we produced our ceramic workshop, which made these districts be influenced by the production faction. Rather, I should say the culture. And as such, we have attracted an actual faction. So the Heliotes are at the gate of the cities. They are free citizens. They have no leader, but Theron represents them regularly. These workers are renowned for their expertise in agriculture in agriculture and food production. They used to be able to feed the Spartan armies entirely, so there's no doubt they'll be able to feed our population as well. And so we have a few things to mention here. So every faction produces something. In this case, they produce 0.1 culture points per cycle, which are up here. We'll get into those in a little bit. And then we have gold coins, generate 0 to 1 depending on the tax. On installation, this faction gives 25 cultural influence, which is up here. And then this is their trust. If we build up trust right now, they have, they like the, what is this? Oh my word. Crusoe and ceramic workshop. So if we were to build those, we already have our workshop, then they'll get trust. And then their trust level is at that. And then factions may already be present in the city. We don't have any of those. This just helps us to regulate. So we are going to accept. And as such, we've now unlocked several new buildings in our cultural buildings ability. If we were to go over to our culture, you'll see that we have a new set here. Now, you'll also notice that this new set has a larger radius, has more traction. While it doesn't do as much satisfaction, it does do more of them. So you'll see here we have 3 options or 2, depending on the building. And that just allows us to be able to do a few more things with them, which is pretty darn cool. I like it. But for now, we need to build up our blueprint production. And then we also need to do a couple of other things, such as fortifying the city with ramparts. You'll see that we have a good bit of production already going on. Everything within these ramparts produces 15% more taxes and more culture points without any consequences. So that's pretty darn good, but you'll see we can't afford it just yet. That's not a problem at all. But what we do need to do is we really need to get a hold of these resources. And we're going to drop one right here. That's going to allow us to get our sand, and then we can expand that by going into places like our small quarry and buying blueprints, which gives us a quarry radius increase, a bonus yield increase, and a stock increase. Now, unfortunately, it produces 400 disturbances, which means it's not great for other things, but that's okie dokie. So we built our ceramic workshop. Let's go ahead and build an arena, simply because I love how these look. And I'm going to intentionally build this right here, I think. Because what this gets us is the potential for conflict. And I love the potential for conflict. So we're already rocking the security. We need either belonging or esteem. We're going to rock with esteem. And it basically, if you have multiple districts with multiple different factions and cultures affecting it, it produces some conflict. And I like that conflict. I exist and thrive inside of that conflict. All right. Anyways, we are going to work on our industrial sector, basically. Because again, if we can't build... If some of these buildings have such a negative impact, then we don't want them anywhere close to our culture. Now, one of the things I will mention is that there is no logic when it comes to placing these types of buildings. It doesn't get you your resources faster. There's no logistical benefit. There is quite literally just the negative aspect of it that we have to consider. All right, cool. So we have our arena. And as such, we have some culture multipliers, which I think look really great. And we're rocking and rolling as we need to. All right, we now have enough influence to build our McKellum. Again, this is our trade route thing. And in terms of where we want to push things, I think this makes sense to just start pushing on this front. We do want to go ahead and influence those people as well. And then again, we have the ability to satisfy multiple things. So let's go ahead and go with esteem, and we'll go with safety. It's going to take a little bit longer to build, but that's okay. And we now have the city of the cult of Cybele. The cult of Cybele worships the eponymous deity agriculture and fertility. Since he became its leader, Gordius has made a habit of provoking rituals deemed extravagant, symbolically castrated priests to express their devotion. These men are known as Gali. So again, they get 0.2 culture points, between 0 and half of a coin per cycle, I suppose. Installation of the faction gains a lot of cultural influence, and then the faction likes the statue of Zeus and the necropolis, and they'll gain trust whenever we do that. All right, we have some rewards. We now have access to a tilery and a brickwork. So much like we have our carpenter and our carver, we now have more resources. We have tiles and we have bricks, and we also have access to the next stage of buildings. So that means if we were to go here, we can see that we have a brickwork and we have the tilery. And then we have our next level. Now these boyos do provide quite a bit more. These are your next level things that provide a lot of benefits. And it's something we want to look into. Now, let's see. We pretty much have military, we have our religious, cultural, and we have our ceramic workshop. So in terms of cultural buildings, we actually don't have any education, and we don't have political. So let's go ahead. Oh, we can't unlock those because it requires a lot more blueprints than we have. But we're going to go ahead and work on an emporium, or excuse me, a theatrum, and probably a halea or a therme, which is basically a bath. Okay, now what we did, we had the potential to do these ruins. I didn't do it, but we now have 2 sets of ruins, and news is spreading that our city has increased its level of cultural influence, which is great. One of the things we're going to look into right now is our cultural influence. So basically right now, every point you earn increases your city's cultural influence on the rest of the world. the greater your cultural influence, the more your best architects will want to settle there, impacting your history. So essentially what we have here are different levels which provide different bonuses. Now, ideally, this is what you want to do before you build your wonder. So you want to try and build things up as much as possible, and you can use the influence points that your cultures are providing for you. And that's really cool. So for instance, we're just going to make everyone give 10. That's going to be 60. You'll see here we are 550 out of 1,000. And these are things that you can do to earn more, basically. So we invested cultural points, which is what we're about to do. We can unlock multiple cultural buildings, construct those buildings between cultural service and upgrading cultural buildings, completing one cycle with a decree, building a wonder, improving the town center, welcoming a faction, have 2 factions in tension actually helped, and discovering ruins. So we are going to invest here, and you'll see that we now have invested some cultural points. So that's pretty cool. I like that. We're going to try and get all the way up to the top before the end of the thing. Today's episode, we'll see if that happens. I'm not quite sure. So again, we now have more industrial buildings. What I need to try and make sure of is that we are also building our ruins in a good, positive way. Let's get our proximity looked at. 750 to unlock the next level of surveyor's cabin. That's a little much. Sweet. And now we have some outside influences. The threat of Macedonia 1. So event 1. An emissary brings you a letter from the King of Macedonia wishing to conquer territory in order to gain access to the Aegean. He plans to lay siege to Amphipolis, and the neighboring Greek cities, seeks you as a key ally. You have the necessary soldiers, and the Greek cities have coveted resources, but weakening these cities to exploit them could be harmful in the long run. You could also seek political and religious support to moderate the king's ambitions. All right, so choice is yours and shape the future. We can reinforce. In that case, we win Tilianum, which is a prison. Very nice. We can choose to help the Greek cities, in which case we would lose some food for 50 cycles. But we get the Ludus Magnus, specialized school dedicated to training new gladiators. Let's defend. I think that's what we really want to do. And now, discovery of a ruin. Sweet. So it looks like we got the Helea. Choose the additional satisfaction. So we want to go ahead and rock with belonging. This isn't a large building, but it will help simply because it gets us those bonuses. It gets those attraction policies and whatnot. There we go. All right, what's up? A building is running out of resources, and we've exploited all resources in the area. That's not a problem because we can simply upgrade. So we're going to go to our small quarry, and we're going to upgrade to a level 2, which will allow us to exploit more of that resource. All right, perfect. We have tension. All right, so oh, nope, that's not what we want to do. We want to go right here. Nope, that's it. So right now, these two people are living in tension, which basically just means that they don't like each other. And so it causes negative rally potential. Chance of spreading positive rallies from those districts reduces. 3 to the faction's risk calculation. 2 to cultural influence, and -1 trust per cycle for both of these factions. And that's a lot. -0.1 is a good amount. So we need to either potentially kick them out or do something of that nature. Now, we can't really guarantee that anything will happen, and some things may not happen. We just don't know. All right, but anyways, we need to unlock the Senatus. We need to build it, and then we need to add a trade route and sell or buy resources. But now, the threat of Macedonia has a second event. Your defense was a success. Inspired by your example, other cities rallied to the cause of the oppressed. The Greek cities resisted valiantly, inflicting heavy losses, who lost an eye in the battle. In gratitude, the leader of Amphipolis, Morona, and Mathone sent you the plans of a building, a symbol of their commitment to justice. Nice. So now we have the Ludus Magnus, which takes a lot to build. So we're not going to worry about that right now. What we are going to worry about is going ahead and building our tilery. Yep. We're going to build our tilery. And we're going to build our brickwork once we have enough people. There we go. And again, while this is probably going to actually provide us with a cultural building and we will repair it, it's not going to do much good considering everything else we have around it. So it is what it is. You'll do that and you'll have that from time to time. But one of the things that I do love about this game is simply watching the cities grow, because they start to get more and more densely packed, and it ends up looking absolutely fantastic. So now what we're going to do, we're going to open a trade route. Now we have the capabilities of trading with 3 different people. They do have faction ties to them. I don't know if that has an effect on everything at the moment, but we can look and we can see what we have. We have an overabundance of blocks. Can't remember what they're called. We have our beams. We have a lot of clay. We have a lot of bricks and a decent number of tiles. Now, what these people provide isn't a whole lot, but rather I'm looking for the gold coins because we can use those in the future. Now, that's not to say these aren't worth it, because they definitely are, but we're going to go with this one. We're going to unlock that first one. And we don't need clay. We actually don't need sand right now at all either. So what we're going to do is we're simply going to sell 200 of those. All right, so we can't because they don't have enough gold coins. We could sell 100, and that will leave them with 163. Let's go ahead and trade there. We're going to go ahead and unlock this building because we have the goods for it, and we are simply going to buy 150. Oh, doesn't look like I can. Whoopsie daisy. So I could buy 100 for 600 gold coins, but we're not actually going to do that. So nice. So now one of the essential things that we could do if we wanted to was to build a rampart. But I do need to build the cultural building that expands that influence. So if we were to go back to our cultural buildings, it was a service building. That's what it was. It was the Horium. So we're going to do that. We can build it immediately, and we should probably start expanding out this direction to make some really nice attractive zones. There we go. And then belonging creativity, we can just simply tell that those are the ones that are needed the most. There we are. And now the Scipio family wants to join. They hate the Atrium Vestae and Ergasterion. So we haven't done that yet, so I don't think we have to worry about it. I think it would be good. Although I thought we already had other... Yeah, these guys are in tension, which is fine. What do we want to do? Do we want to expel the faction Heliotes? I don't think we do. Don't think that would be very beneficial. And there's our Horium, which allows us to build a lot more, expand our resources across the board. Always good to see. Always enjoy that. And now we have the Presidium, which provides a lot of safety as well. So let's expand this way. We're good there. Do we need to expand this yet? No, we don't. We're okay. We're going to go ahead and repair this. And I'm going to rock belonging again, simply because we really, really need that. Or actually, we probably need safety more. The Via Edificium will be good for us. And I also did that because that gets us our cultural influence boosts as well, which is definitely what we need. What do we got? Running out of resources. Okay. Well, we need to expand our surveyor's cabin anyways. But what can we do here? Doesn't look like we can build over here. And it looks like we simply need to build a little further back on there. So let's go ahead and go to our proximity. We're going to upgrade that. And I'm even going to upgrade it another time if I could. Let's go ahead and build that improvement. And then we're going to delete this. We're not going to do anything crazy on it because we don't need to. And then it looks like we're at our maximum for ramparts, or for wood production. So you can see we could actually build and put all of this in there. Oh, no way. That's super cool. Okay, we are definitely going to build that. Use up all of our wood. The Carthaginians are coming in now. We'll accept them, but I think we're going to be at a point where we may not be able to do it a whole bunch more. And so basically in 25 more turns, we'll have our ramparts, which is awesome. And we have enough citizens and goods to expand our influence yet again. We're going to do that. Sweet, our ramparts have been built. Fantastic. This is working great. Absolutely love it. All right, so we are actually losing money, or losing food. So we need to definitely build more granaries, or not granaries, more farms. Now, one of the things you have to be mindful of is that we actually have a maximum number of proximity surveyors cabins. that we have available to us. So we need to be mindful of our space. Ooh, we discovered some ruins. We're going to go ahead and repair those as well. What is it? It's an Agogi Center. Ooh, fancy. Unfortunately, I'm using all of this extra space for my farms, but that's okay. And then we need to improve our cutting camp. So there's lots of stuff that needs to be kind of juggled all at once. Improve the cutting camp. We're going to go ahead and improve the farms as well. Now that does take resources, unfortunately. So we're going to have to wait for those. And it looks like the Collegium Nummularium. A Nummularium. Nummularium. Is at the gates. Octavian and his followers. The Collegium Nummularium is not strictly speaking merchants. They were renowned in Rome for their handling of coins and precious metals. All right, welcome, welcome. That's fine by me. And now we still have those two living in tension, but we now also have a reserve. Always paying attention to all productions can be tedious. The Horium summarizes all their statuses to make city management easier. All right, cool. Nope, that's great. We have production per cycle. We have all of our everything moved into here so we can see how production is rocking and rolling, which is great. No, that's awesome. We will be perfectly well and good there. And you can see that we're starting to improve. I'm waiting on 200. Let's go ahead and build not another cutting camp, another small quarry. There we go. That'll be good for us. Still my favorite part of the game. Just seeing those districts start popping up and populating is just super awesome. And it also goes to prove that even though there are some negative cultural building or negative impacting attraction buildings, that we can still get along well enough and do well enough to go in and allow people to have their own culture be represented. In terms of what we need to do, we really desperately need a good military, a military producing building. Now, one of the things that I'm not thrilled about with the game is you get situations like this, where just because of placements, we can't demolish roads. And therefore, my really, really big boyo has a hard time squeezing in. So we're still going to squeeze him in because there's really no other place for him. Not even over there. I could do it right here, but that would wreck some of the proximity things that we have going on. So I am simply going to push him right here, but I'm not super proud of the result that will happen, that will come out of it. You'll see here that we still need a huge amount of satisfaction. Then we need to satiate, so we're going to work on those buildings here on out to really try and tackle them as best that we can. Finally, we can build a Senatus. Senatus is, of course, going to help us to pass laws and actually form a Senate, which will be great. We can satiate all the things that are missing here. And now we also, we have our first of our trade. Sargon and his family, the Amorite dynasty, are recognized as the ancient royal line. Their legacy still conveys today, is priceless, mainly in the form of written codified laws, the Code of Hammurabi. Very, very nice. So we're starting to get some heavier influences in here. We're starting to build up our population well, get enough workers to do all the things. We've officially built our Senatus, and we need to work on decrees. All right, so in ancient politics, we have a set of available decrees that cost gold to enact, and you can increase their duration, increases the amount of gold that we're able to have. Now, depending on the situation, will depend on how people vote. So anything here, we have 3 main factions on the military side, so we'd be able to do any of these if we wanted to, which would be really, really good. Suspends the effects of military faction tensions. We could do that. Loving thy neighbor or weekly ceremonies probably wouldn't really pass based on what's going on here. This has a higher chance of passing. This has a decent chance. You'll see, so you kind of get an idea based on the factions that you have going on here. So basically what we want to do, I think, let's go ahead and increase the safety for 100 turns. Safety satisfaction by 4. Let's go ahead and submit that, and we'll see if it passes. Nice. The decree was accepted, so it is now in there. And then last but not least, we've unlocked rewards. So we're only halfway through the age, and already we can start doing wonders. We need wonders to advance to the next age, which I think is really good. What do we want? Do we want the Mausoleum of Halicarnassus, or we want the Sassi di Matera? I think we want the mausoleum. And so now if we wanted to, we could build this and advance to the next age. We're not going to do that just yet. And I don't even have a spot where I could build them up anyways, so there's that. What are we waiting on? We have a lot more inhabitants we could get. We have some upgrade costs, things of that nature. That's fine. I do think we can. Yes, we can. We have 2 that we can do. Maximum number of creeds, we can actually have 4. So let's go ahead and do this one, which has a decent chance of passing. We're going to do quality control, which gets the value of goods is increased by 20%. Barely accepted. And then last but not least, I think we try and... Ooh, that wouldn't pass. I really don't think that would pass at all. Let's satiate the creativity satisfaction and see if that works. Sweet, it passed. It passed. All right, so basically what we can do now is we can start trading a little bit more. Let's go with like 50 here. 411. We can still rock that well enough. We could use a good deal of sand and clay. We'll spend 340. I don't want to spend 340. There we go. That's a pretty fair trade, I think. So we're going to rock on that. We're going to be able to get some more resources. We have an overabundance of brick. We can sell brick here. It only costs 7 coins. Yeah, I think that's fair for us. Let's just go ahead and straight up trade it. Gets us lots of good coinage, which I really, really enjoy. We have 2,500 blueprints that we can spend. Now, it's not necessarily beneficial to unlock all of these, I will say. So, for instance, we could go ahead and unlock another wonder instead, which I think would be good. But remember, our cost reductions go down the more that we have things built up. So we're going to invest a little more in here. There we go. We're a little ways into our next one. But you can see, provides a bonus, a trust bonus, and unlocks new things. And then it basically reduces the costs of building wonders, which is something we definitely want to work on. All right, in terms of proximity, we can almost hip hop and skip across the board, across this little waterway. Let's take a look at our resources first. So there's a lot of gold here and a good amount of sand as well. So we definitely want to push into this. There we go. Push that improvement, which pushes things out a little bit further for us. Everything else, though, is pretty darn good. I don't even know that we need this. I think we'll be good without it. We now have the Spartans that want to come in. Great, that works for me. Not too shabby at all. We do have a few trusts issues now. The Cult of Cybele and the Heliotes. So here's one of the cool things that we can do. So the Heliotes are at odds with the Cult of Cybele, correct? And their trust is way low. I think we're going to kick out the Cult of Cybele just to reduce that tension and make it go away. We need to simply improve this. We can improve this one as well to harvest a little bit more. We're good on that front. We're good on the clay front. We could improve it, which we probably should. No, we'll be good here. Yeah, they have deep, deep access. We are awesome on that front. Yeah, but I wish I could remove these roads or at least build on top of them and they would go away to an extent. But that's okay. We do have a lot of celebrating going on, which is good. We have our Presidium, right? Oh, my word. Really? Really, boys? We don't have a Presidium. And this is why I built a Surveyor's Cabin. But what I really, really wanted to do with the Surveyor's Cabin was improve it enough to be able to get across the city over there. So let's go ahead and build that. Because, well, we do need a satisfaction. And I thought we already have one of these. We do. Okay, so let's go into here. We're going to go into our cultural. We need something that generates satisfaction. And by satisfaction, I of course mean belonging. That was goofy of me. Belonging is our desperate thing that we need right now. And so, of course, that is a necropolis or it is a templum. We're going to go with the necropolis. And it is a little bit of a skinnier building, so maybe we can squeeze it in. Nope, it's not looking like it. Oh, my word. Yeah, the roads are a little bit of a frustrating system at the moment. And I honestly do think that an increase in Surveyor's cabins are necessary. All right, now we have a lot of tension. What do we have attention at? We have attention over here. So these guys are in tension with the Spartans. These guys are at tension with the Collegium Numerilorum. So I think we're going to boot the Spartans out. That's a little too much tension for me. And unfortunately, we kind of have to have this amalgam of all sorts of people in here. It's just unnecessary. And then we'll squeeze in our necropolis here. We're going to rock with health. And we're going to rock with esteem. Bada bing, bada boom. We do have some more decoratives. We have the platea, which just adds purely decorative elements. That does have a good deal of attraction. For a relatively low amount. There we go. Alright, our trust with the Heliots has gone all the way down. What if we were to not make them pay anything? I think we would be good on that front. Sweet. Alright, so you can see that the cultural attractiveness is high enough that we're going to start getting some of these in. It doesn't say the actual attractiveness, does it? That's alright. We will build just like several of these, I think, to kind of boost it. And get lots and lots of people in. Our next level of improvement is over at 2,000. And we need lots of wooden beams and lots of everything else. Okay, cool. I think we're all right for the most part. I don't think we're going to be able to get to the Wonder today. We could definitely build it, but I just don't have... I don't have a spot for it. And that is a little bit of a pickle. We could build our cutting camp here and have them start cutting away. But yeah, we don't really have a spot for our Wonder as of right now. And that's okay. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to end it here for this first episode of Memoriapolis. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had fun. And it is release day. So I hope that you, if you want to support the game, you totally can by going over to Steam and either wishlisting it or purchasing it. And that will help the developers. Wishlisting does amazing things for visibility. So help them out on launch day and at least give it a wish list, if not a purchase. There's no way really that you can support this channel in terms of financial gain or anything like that with this yet. But if you want to support the channel in other ways, you can do so by giving this video a like, subscribing to the channel, and leaving any comments in the comment section down below. It would help immensely. We're going to be back with Memoriapolis as our city expands, as it faces tension. This is Havoc, and I'll see you in the next episode.